Resilient Georgia defines resilience as the ability to overcome adversity. Historical Heroes features people from the past who cope with setbacks to reach their goals. This is Dawn from the Gwinnett County Public Library, and today Historical Heroes will spotlight the resilience of Bass Reeves, from escaped slave to Deputy U.S. Marshal. According to Black Gun Silver Star, The Life and Legend of Frontier Marshal Bass Reeves by Art T. Burton, Bass Reeves was born in Crawford County, Arkansas in 1838. Bass and his family were slaves of William Still Reeves. They later moved with Reeves to northern Texas, just outside the border of Choctaw and Chickasaw nations, located in an area that at the time was referred to as Indian Territory. In the book, Paul L. Brady, Bass's great-nephew, is stated as saying Bass was good at tending horses and mules and became the blacksmith's helper. He also became his master's companion, which involved serving as a valet, coachman, and butler. This was a high status among the enslaved community and allowed Bass to be around the white community, which gave him a chance to listen to and understand them. Bass asked if he could be taught how to read, which Reeves denied, but instead taught him how to shoot a gun. Burton mentions that the story behind when and how Bass escaped slavery has conflicting accounts. According to a 1901 newspaper interview, Bass stated that he served as a body servant in the Civil War to his then master, Colonel George Reeves, the son of William Still Reeves. However, there is no written record that Bass served as a body servant for Reeves during the Civil War. The story from his family is that he got into a heated altercation with Colonel George Reeves during a card game, knocked him out, then ran off to find refuge with and fight in Civil War battles with the Union, Seminole, and Creek nations. The account from his family led Burton to believe that Bass used the story of being a body servant to Reeves as a way to make former Confederate soldiers and sympathizers trust him a bit more during his work as a Deputy U.S. Marshal. As an escaped slave, Bass had to overcome the challenges he faced living in a land where he did not speak the language, had nothing to his name, and risked capture until the Emancipation Proclamation was passed. During this time, Bass displayed his resilience by learning to speak the languages of the people and gaining their respect, learning the lay of the land and tracking skills, and perfecting his ambidextrous ability to shoot a pistol and a rifle, which intimidated outlaws he would later pursue. During 1870, Bass moved his family to Arkansas, near Fort Smith, and pursued the opportunity to assist law enforcement to track fugitives in Indian Territory. His skills and knowledge of the area made him a great scout, and this connection with law enforcement allowed him to earn a living for his family and would set him up to be called upon for a position that would make him a legend. According to the book Black Cowboys in the American West, On the Range, On the Stage, Behind the Badge, edited by Bruce A. Glassrud and Michael N. Searles, and the chapter titled Bass Reeves, a Legendary Lawman of the Western Frontier by Art T. Burton, in 1875, Isaac C. Parker was appointed judge for the Fort Smith, Arkansas court and ordered his marshal to hire 200 deputies to police western Arkansas in Indian Territory, which was attractive to outlaws because of its 75,000 square miles of land with very few towns and villages and an indigenous population that policed itself. The federal courts dealt with everyone else. Bass was chosen as one of the first African-American deputy U.S. Marshals west of the Mississippi. Parker believed that with an accepted population of previously enslaved African-Americans who lived among the indigenous population and referred to as Indian freedmen during that time, black deputies would be more welcome in that area than their white counterparts. Burton states that Bass was an imposing figure who stood 6 feet 2 inches tall, weighed 180 pounds, was a quick draw, and was reported by many to show absolutely no fear. To cope with his inability to read, Bass had someone read each warrant to him until he memorized the names on the warrant so he would not mix them up. It was reported that he had never arrested the wrong person. When marshals rode out to apprehend fugitives, they took a prisoner wagon, a cook, a guard, and a posseman, or several, depending on how dangerous the fugitives were. Trips could take as long as 30 days, so marshals tried to grab as many fugitives as they could during their outings. Bass was a master of disguise and good at planning his apprehensions. He would set up camp far away from where the hideouts would be and also brought along less superior horses so he would not be pegged right away as a deputy marshal. One of Bass's documented captures in 1883 was of Jim Webb, who was wanted for a murder of a preacher that accidentally started a fire on the ranch for which Webb was foreman. When Bass and a posseman named Floyd Wilson reached the ranch house a few days after learning of the murder, Webb, a cowboy named Frank Smith, and a cook were the only ones there. Bass and Wilson acted like passers-by looking for a bite to eat. Bass did all he could to keep Webb from being suspicious of him and Wilson, but saw the two men outside talking and gesturing towards them as they ate. When Bass and Wilson went outside to join them, the two other men watched them with their pistols held at their sides. When something distracted Webb, Bass took the chance to jump up and grab him by the throat. Bass had his gun in Webb's face, and the man surrendered. Wilson was so surprised by the sudden capture that he made no move to subdue Smith, who took 2 shots at Bass but missed him. Bass shot back and mortally wounded Smith, who later died on the way to Fort Smith. After almost a year in jail, Webb's friends put up his bond. but he disappeared before trial. He would later face Bass in a shootout that would end his life. Out of respect to Bass, Webb took his hand and gifted his pistol to him. In 1884, Bass declared that he accidentally shot his cook William Leach while they were camped with a haul of 5 prisoners. He testified during his murder trial that took place in 1887 that he was trying to dislodge a stuck cartridge in his shotgun when it went off, hitting Leach in the crook of his neck. They were unable to locate a doctor in time, and Leach was dead by the next day. Burton mentions that there were conflicting accounts to this story that were not brought up at the trial. Bass had to sell his family home in order to pay for his legal fees, but based on the fact that he was a good shot and could have cleanly killed Leach if he wanted to, and that he had made no attempt to flee in the 2 years it took to bring him to trial, Bass was found not guilty in the end. Bass was also resilient because he found purpose in upholding the law no matter who you were. One of his toughest challenges happened in 1902 when he had to arrest his own son Benny for the murder of his wife during a jealous rage. Bass had returned with a few prisoners when he found out there was a warrant for Benny, who had fled into Indian Territory after killing his wife. Bass found him and brought him in without incident. According to Benny's inmate record in the digital file of the National Archives, he was convicted and served for 11 years before his sentence was commuted in 1914. During his astounding 32-year career as a deputy U.S. Marshal, Burton's book states that Bass captured over 3,000 fugitives with crimes ranging from bootlegging to murder. Bass Reeves faced danger and near misses and inflicted fear among the outlaws due to his ability to always catch his criminal or be quick on the draw if it turned into a gun battle. It is reported that he had 14 justified kills. As times changed, Indian Territory became the eastern part of Oklahoma when it became a state in 1907. Bass joined the local Muskogee police force until he was too ill to continue. He died on January 12, 1910. Bass Reeves' life is a powerful example of extraordinary resilience with his ability to survive and escape from slavery, build connections with the community and law enforcement, cope with the devastation of arresting his own son, face life or death situations, and have true purpose in upholding the law. Although some stated facts differ among resources, the following titles were used for this program and are available through interlibrary loan. Black Gun, Silver Star, The Life and Legend of Frontier Marshal Bass Reeves by Art T. Burton. Black Cowboys in the American West, On the Range, On the Stage, Behind the Badge, edited by Bruce A. Glassrud and Michael N. Searles. Thank you for watching.